Now, the conference finals, Celtics versus the Heat, man. Two great defensive teams. The big matchup to watch for is the Heat defense versus the Celtics offense. Coach Spo versus Coach Stevens. Let's get into it. So first off, I want to start off with Kemba Walker. I think Kemba Walker is going to need to have a big series. In Kemba's last two games versus the Raptors, he averaged like 9 points, 26% field goal percentage, 15% from three. So he's really struggling. And in the last two first halves, 4 points total for Kemba Walker. Unacceptable. I know that Toronto's playing the boxing one on him. I know that Toronto has pretty good perimeter defenders in Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, who are pretty pesky, but that is unacceptable for Kemba Walker. He was almost the reason why, well, at least part of the reason why Celtics almost blew that series. So he's going to have Goran Dragic on him. He's going to have Duncan Robinson on him. He's going to have Tyler Hero on him. Maybe even Kendrick Nunn on him at times for a good majority of the series. And Kemba got to be able to exploit that. Now, those guys I just mentioned, Robinson, Hero, Dragic, those are good team defenders, but individually, those guys aren't pretty good. You can blow right by them. You can get by. You can get by these guys. If you go ISO on these guys, it's easy pickings. But the problem is the Heat really do a good job of kind of hiding these defenders, and try to, like I said, just play great team defense, just help out, reach in at times, just step in for charges and things like that. That's what makes the Heat so good, getting in passing lanes and simple stuff like that. Now, I'm assuming Jay Crowder will be guarding Jason Tatum for the majority of the series. And my question for Tatum is, how will he handle the physicality of the Miami Heat, especially Jay Crowder and Jimmy Butler, who's going to be on him, I believe, in later stages of the games. I think being physical with Tatum will force him into a lot of tough shots, a lot of turnovers. As he saw versus the Raptors, Tatum did have his struggles with turnovers. I believe he averaged 4 turnovers a game during that series, and against the Heat, you definitely cannot turn the ball over. Because the Heat are probably the best team in the NBA in capitalizing off of turnovers. But I think for Tatum's game to open up in this series, it's going to have to come from his passing ability. And like I said with Tatum a couple months ago, his passing still needs some more improvements. He still needs to be able to have the full offensive package, and he is definitely showing me that. Versus the Raptors, he averaged 5 assists a game compared to the regular season where he only averaged 3. So the passing is going up, especially those last couple games. Having 9 and 7 assists in those 2 games, better shots. I want to see Tatum and Brown just take really good, really efficient shots. I know Jaylen Brown had a great Toronto series. Hopefully when Jaylen Brown's shot's not falling, he'll be able to go off the dribble like he did against Toronto and have some real success there. I do believe the Heat are going to force Jason Tatum into some long twos, long contested twos, some fadeaway jump shots. And I think the Heat are going to live with those shots from Jason Tatum. And the question is Jason Tatum going to fall in love with those type of shots? Or is he going to try to get the type of shots that he wants? Tatum has been getting better driving the ball. Like I said, he used to miss a lot of point-blank layups. Jason Tatum just used to not be a good finisher, but now he's finishing with more efficiency. And I'm pretty sure Marcus Smart will be fine. He'll hit a couple threes. I don't think he'll be as good from 3 as he was versus the Raptors, but he will still be pretty good. He will be off the dribble making plays for his teammates. Marcus Smart is just that guy you would love to have on your team, and he's not going to make too many mistakes. And one more thing for the Celtics offense, can Daniel Tice, can Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Brad Wanamaker, Semi Ojeleye, and these guys, can they give the Celtics enough? I don't think the Celtics need these guys to be scorching hot from 3 or just making a whole bunch of shots, but can they just not be a negative? That's the big thing for the Celtics other guys. Can they not just bring a negative to the game? Can they just do what they do without making too many mistakes because they already have a shortened rotation? Now, as for the Miami Heat on offense, I think this is going to be another series where Jimmy Butler is going to have to step up his scoring, step up his aggressiveness. I want him to average 22 plus points in this series. I think this is a huge defensive series for Marcus Smart. Every series is huge defensively for Marcus Smart, but this one is kind of interesting because I think Marcus Smart's going to be on Dragic to start out. But I could also see him on Jimmy Butler. I could see him on Duncan Robinson, even chasing him around screens if Kemba's not doing a good enough job of that. And that's the great thing about Marcus Smart, man. You can just put him anywhere and he'll be very, very effective. It's going to be interesting to see how the Celtics overall play Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic in these playoffs is absolutely just getting to his spot anytime he wants to. His pick and rolls is killing defenses. He's just hitting his mid-ranges. And overall, he's just clutch, Goran Dragic has been absolutely amazing in these playoffs. He's efficient, effective, making plays. So it's going to be imperative that the Celtics just make it tougher for him than these other teams have been doing. I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will be really, really good defensively. More so Jaylen Brown, but Jason Tatum has improved his defense over the past couple months since we got in the bubble, actually. Well, I take that back. Pretty much all year, Jason Tatum has been an underrated defender. He's been pretty good. I'm sure they're going to take times on Jimmy Butler. I know Jaylen Brown guarded Siakam for most of that series, but this is a much more physical matchup for Jaylen Brown. I think he's up for the challenge, though, guarding Jimmy Butler for the majority of the time. I think Bam Adebayo should be able to have a pretty good series against Daniel Theis. I think he could just outrun Theis most of the game. He can just get the rebound and go. He can beat Daniel Theis on drives. He can get putbacks. He can just do more. He's just more athletic than Daniel Theis. I expect Bam to have a really nice series, but one thing from Bam is I need him to hit his 12-foot mid-ranges, those little mid-ranges that he likes to shoot. Some days is on, some days is off, but in this series, I think that mid-range shot is going to be open for him, and I think he needs to hit that with consistency just to soften up the Celtics defense a little bit and force Daniel Theis to guard him more. So that begs the question, will the Celtics end up bringing out Robert Williams even more? Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, he makes a lot of mistakes, but he's probably your best bet on Bam. Let's see how Daniel Theis plays on him, but you might have to bring in Robert Williams in there, who's more athletic, who's more mobile than Daniel Theis is. Not as physical, not as smart of a defender, but he is very athletic. It'll also be interesting to see how good of a job Kemba Walker will be doing on Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. I'm sure he's going to be guarding either of those guys in this series for a good majority of it. Is he going to do a good job of chasing these guys around? Is he going to do a good job of just staying in front of them? You know, that's all Kemba pretty much has to do with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero likes to go off the dribble more. He's more than capable of going off the dribble, but I don't think the Heat's offense will be as effective when Tyler Hero's going off the dribble rather than him coming off of screens and pin downs and all type of stuff. But obviously, I do expect Kemba to be quick enough to be able to chase him around all day long. Will that be too much on Kemba to ask for when it comes to the offensive end, though? Will that tire him out a lot? Maybe, maybe not, but I expect him to do a good job defensively. Kemba obviously isn't known as a defender, but he's more than capable of playing really, really good team defense. It seems like he's locked in more ever since he got to Boston. Honestly, I think Kendrick Nunn and Kelly Olynyk might be exposed in this series. Also going to be interesting to see how Andre Iguodala plays in this series. Is he going to hit shots when they're open? But guys like Kendrick Nunn and Kelly Olynyk, will they come out and do some stuff offensively? Will they give a scoring punch for Miami? It's like some games they do, and the Miami Heat really need it, or sometimes they just don't really do anything, and they're just a defensive liability. So it's going to be interesting to see how those guys play. Yeah, but all in all for the Heat, I think Jimmy Butler's going to need to be that guy once again, man. In the fourth quarter, it's going to be really, really interesting to see Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic versus Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum. Which duo steps up in crunch time? Right now, I'd give the edge to Jimmy and Dragic as of right now, just because, I mean, they've shown it in these playoffs already, how clutch they are, how poised they are. You know, they like to run those half-court sets, and they're very, very comfortable with it. And the Celtics are at their best when they're moving the ball, when they're getting out in transition and things like that. So, you know, Jason Tatum had his struggles in crunch time versus the Raptors. In one of the games, he had a lot of turnovers and missed shots, and he was airballing, and it just looked really bad for Jason Tatum. But hopefully that was just one game, and he's over that. But with that being said, my couple X factors is Jay Crowder versus Marcus Smart. Who's going to be better defensively between Jay Crowder and Marcus Smart, and who's going to hit more threes between those two guys? Those two guys have been absolutely scorching hot from three, more than their normal selves. Another X factor is Bam taking advantage of what he has in front of him, which is Daniel Theis. Like I said, Bam's going to be able to hit those 12-foot shots, those little floaters as well, those little 6-foot floaters as well. He likes to shoot a lot of those, so hopefully Bam takes advantage. Heat guard play is going to be absolutely paramount. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, and these guys, Goran Dragic. Can they not get killed defensively by Kemba? And Tatum's passing is going to need to be a key, man. Like I said, Jason Tatum's passing is absolutely paramount. It opens up the floor for the Celtics. But if I had to pick a winner, man, I'll go with Celtics in 7. Just for the simple fact that they're a little bit more experienced. This is their third conference finals in 4 seasons. So Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been in this position before. You know, Kemba, this is his first time, but I'm sure he'll be ready for the moment. Marcus Smart's ready for the moment. Compared to Bam, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, who might not be ready for these moments. I know Tyler Hero would be ready for the moment. He's ready for any moment. Jimmy Butler's ready for the moment. Dragic, more than likely will be ready for the moment, but I'm not too sold on that just yet. And I think Brad Stevens will outcoach Coach Spo just by a little bit. And the Celtics are just more talented than the Heat, you know. And in the Game 7, the team with more talent is going to win more times than not. So I'd go with Celtics in 7.